Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Geoff Micks. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Stephen LaBruzzy of Celonis. We're going to have a conversation about process improvement in the supply chain space. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
You've been having a lot of conversations on site with some very senior supply chain executives. I wonder if we could start off by talking about some of the issues or trends they're coming to you with.
Yeah. A lot of the attendees here are really interested in how they're going to manage their supply chain better, how they're going to find inefficiencies that are happening they don't even know about. So they're really concerned about how do they manage through this trying economic time.
I mean, controlling costs has always been a supply chain function, but it feels like it's more important now than ever.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And they're all talking about it, and they're just trying to find better ways to add value to their organizations and to streamline and to improve costs. So they're always looking at that.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you are actually a subject matter expert in this space. What is some of the advice that you have for these people when they're coming to you with their challenges?
Yeah, I keep talking to them, to focus on their processes. Look at their processes, take honest assessments, look at what's performing and not. And the key is, how do you get transparency into those processes?
And when a supply chain has been disrupted a few times and perhaps they came in and they crisis managed it and it doesn't quite work the way it used to and they don't have clear visibility of what's going on, there is an opportunity for waste to creep in.
Right.
So how do they get transparency back into some of those processes?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we've talked about was, what technologies can you deploy? Celonis being one of those that can really give you transparency into how your processes are running today. It's very dynamic. You get to see what's happening when, world events happen. You immediately see what's impacting your process and where it's going off the tracks. So it allows you to really get access to that and take corrective action right away.
Now, when I hear of a new tool or technology, my first thought is, okay, well, no one is starting from scratch here. They have an existing systems network.
Yeah.
How does a tool like Celonis fit into that larger ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, we leverage all the existing ERP systems and source systems. So whether you have a planning system or an inventory management system, what we do is we layer on top and we provide those insights through a layer that gives these brand new, how are we going to get to this business outcome of reducing days inventory? How do we do that? Celonis basically escalates that up, gives you ways to attack use cases and solve those problems.
I wonder if you could walk us through maybe some of the decision-making process as a supply chain executive is evaluating a tool like Celonis. What are the smart questions they should be asking?
Yeah, I think they should really understand how enterprise ready it is, like how scalable it is. We have customers that have billions of records, so you need to scale to that. So making sure a platform can scale to that, that's probably first and foremost, so you don't run into problems down the road. Obviously, there's the ability to find problems and understand what's going on. So we institute this framework around find, frame, and fix. And that's really centered around you have to find the problems, you have to frame the value and the root causes that are happening, and then you can fix them. So you don't just let them continue to exist. You solve the problem as it occurs. And one of the great parts about it is coming back and looking at continuous improvement in your process. So this allows you to feed back and actually change your process and have insights into that.
Another thing that I want to do whenever we talk about a new tool or technology is talk about the people part of this, because there's going to be a user for this tool, someone who is accountable for controlling costs or improving a process. Let's expand upon that part of it a little.
Yeah. So we have, because we cover so many different processes, whether it be order management, procurement, inventory, to AP and AR core finance functions, there's a lot of different personas, but they're all pretty much the business. So these business problems that are happening throughout your process are basically funneled up to a business user that knows how to take a good action. So Celonis will give you recommendations of how can you take the next best action to solve it. And business users, see that, they understand the process very well, so they can take immediate action to rectify it.
I wonder if we could illustrate what we're talking about with one or two concrete examples. Now, you don't need to name names, of course, but maybe tell us a little bit of a story where Celonis is involved in coming to a happy ending.
Yeah. So Celonis works across all industries. So I can think of a couple. So I can think of the oil and gas industry, where maintenance and plant maintenance and asset maintenance is very important. So work order management and managing the inventory and the materials you have to have on site to fix and proactively solve problems with your work orders. That's one way we've been able to escalate that up and help them balance their materials, watch for shortages, reallocate to different sites that need it. So that's one way. We have a pharmaceutical distribution company that was really trying to understand, hey, why are we have late collections on some of our orders? And they actually got visibility into unbilled orders that they had already shipped, and they didn't even know they existed. So Celonis is providing that visibility into your process and to the business problems that are happening.
I wonder how that would fit into a larger conversation about ERP transformation. Is that something that resonates?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we get contacted by customers and our partners all the time to help them really understand how do they get to insights quickly as they're looking to migrate to new systems, new supply chain systems or ERP systems. They're really looking for insights now to understand, how is this going to operate in that new environment. And what Celonis does is allows you to get a snapshot of how you're really doing it today and bump that up against best practices or future state and really see where you would be not complying, and you really need to focus your time to work with the business to understand how you're going to address these differences.
A few times in your answers, you've sort of emphasized the speed of things.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I appreciate everyone's story is different, but what does getting started look like? What is the typical timeline for a rollout? Can you walk us through that part of it?
Yeah, we commissioned a research project with IDC, and 4 months is the payback for Celonis. So almost all of our customers have different times and they have different scopes, but on average, 4 months was the return on investment that they all saw. So they may start in different areas in supply chain or finance, but all of them see value really quickly and have payback.
When a client says, yes, this makes sense, I want to move forward with it, and apparently 4 months is the timeline, is this sort of a turnkey thing? Is there an ongoing relationship with Celonis? Walk us through the working relationship.
Yeah, so we one of our focuses of our company is around value realization. So as part of our evaluation with new customers, we help frame up value cases and we help them justify the investments they're going to make in order to solve these business problems. And what we do is we stay along with them along the entire journey. So after they've purchased some licenses, it's keeping with them the entire way to make sure they realize that. So we work with them every day. So we have a whole team that are called value engineers that work with them every day, day in and day out, to help them make sure they get what we signed up to get and they justify it to their executive management.
As I'm hearing this, I also try to think of myself as a supply chain executive who I wouldn't necessarily just want someone coming in and solving my problems for me. I would want to develop that internal competency with the tool. And I think you're talking about that when you're saying these people are going to come in and help. Can we talk about the handover of information and sort of the training element?
Yeah. Well, we have resources that stay with you across the entire way. But part of our whole intake process with you is teaching you, like guiding you through the process. How do you intake new processes and new use cases? How do you start expanding in your organization to get even more value? So this is something we do along the way. We have free academy training that you can go online and take classes to learn technical aspects, to change management aspects. So we really look at this as turnkey. We work with many global system integrators to help drive that as well. But customers, we have a lot of customers that create centers of excellence that really master and do their own work after the first probably 4 to 6 months.
You mentioned earlier continuous improvement, and it put a little bit of a light bulb on, and now we're talking about developing internal competencies. I have to think there is a type of supply chain executive who really identifies with lean methodology, operational excellence, continuous improvement.
Right.
I have to think this is a tool that appeals to them, and I wonder if maybe we could talk a little bit about that relationship and making this a tool in their toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Lean Six Sigma folks embrace this. It's about the process. It's about running iterative continuous improvement projects. And the great thing with Celonis is it's live and you continuously iterate through. I find some of our best customers don't do ad hoc projects, but they continuously improve and build upon every advancement they've made. And for executives that are looking to instill that in their organization, it's a great platform to leverage.
We have covered quite a few things in this conversation already. Before I let you go, if there were one or two key things that you want to highlight that maybe people should think about a little further, what would those be?
Yeah, I'd really have them think holistically about what processes are the most important in their business. We find a lot of our customers start in our core four, in procurement, in order management, in finance, AP, and AR. But any process in a corporation, Celonis can work on and help get you that transparency, allow you to standardize and harmonize your processes across all regions, across all business units. So it really gives you that complete transparency into your process. And if anybody's going to remember anything or think about that, it's about the process.
For people who have been listening to this and want to learn a little bit more, ask a few questions, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, definitely. Go to Celonis.com. You can get in touch with us. You can view demos and see use cases from our customers, or you can email me directly at s.labruzzy@celonis.com.
Well, I really appreciate you making that offer, Stephen. I've enjoyed talking with you, and I encourage everyone who has been listening to this, if you have a question for Stephen, reach out. He's a wealth of information. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint Podcast Series. I've been Geoff Micks. Let's do it again soon.